So I mean, hey, Cedric, brother, thanks for coming. Just I thought we definitely want to get into. I think there's some kind of personal overlap in our stories. You know what I mean? Like being from the West Side, being who we are ethnically as well. That we can get into a little bit as well. But I think we should just start. Like, give me a snapshot of who you are today. Who's Cedric Gates?
Yes, so aloha, I'm Cedric Gates, and I appreciate you having me on your show. I've been watching you and your podcast, and I've really been amazed at the work that you do and lifting up the voices across our state and in our community. And thank you for having me on the show today. So, me, I'm born and raised on the Waianae Coast, Makaha to be specific. I've went to Kamaile Elementary, Waianae Intermediate, Waianae High School. So really entrenched in the community and everybody's family on the West Side. You know how small our community is and tight knit our residents are with each other, and that's kind of my background in terms of my upbringing. When I was 12, my life changed forever. I lost my mom on Halloween actually, and it was strange. It was a realization like, whoa, life is short, and you gotta love the people that you love and show them their flowers while they can still smell them, and that changed my whole perspective on life. My mom was someone that kept me involved in school, made sure I got straight A's, and rewarded me when I was going to school when she was still alive. And when she passed, I kind of lost that. And that's kind of where, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, I guess you can say. Started cutting school, being a, bad boy with all the bad kids somewhat. And, I came to a realization that path wasn't what was destined for me. I knew that I needed to make a change so that I don't get stuck in a generational rut where we ended up doing the same things that we promised ourselves we wouldn't do. So with that being said, uh, you know, growing up in Waianae is rough. I've don't come with the silver spoon. I've definitely um, came from the bottom, and my parents were hard workers. They were business owners and entrepreneurs, and they kind of instilled that into me. What I thought was really important was that they always showed us to show aloha, right? Give back, do what you can, because it always comes back 100 times.
What kind of businesses did they do?
So they had pawn shops and a cleaning business. So they had two pawn shops, one in Anakuli, one in Maili. Prior to that, they had a pawn shop in Waiawa. But that's why we moved to Waianae before I was born. They ended up opening up shops out here. So that's what drew them to the Waianae Coast, and that's how we ended up being born and raised out here.
You said we, so you have
Siblings, yeah. So I have two brothers and one sister, all older than me. I'm the youngest.
out of baby too.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically from there, I ended up finding a path. I started a nonprofit organization with my brother Ben, and we were focusing on community unity through an active lifestyle. And that drew us into politics because we used the city parks. And the city parks would always be messed up. The bathrooms would be tore up. And, you're trying to hold an event there. You don't want to be having your participants dealing with, unnecessary stuff. And so we started advocating for that. And that's what kind of drew me into the politics because I started speaking up for our community. And
it started from these public restrooms, or I say public parks.
Yes.
And then wanting to throw events there with your brother.
Yes.
And you're like, let me start this NPO, but I want to make it more, I would say, hospitable for our guests who come to these events.
Correct.
And you couldn't find a space. Is that?
Yeah, we had a space. It was just the conditions of the public spaces that were issue for us because The sinks would be broken, the toilets would be broken, and then you can't have, these events successfully if, there's lines at the bathroom or people can't use the bathroom.
Not enough parking, or maybe I don't want to park there type of thing.
Right.
For me, like my exposure to a lot of the West Coast, I mean, a lot of people don't know Honokai, first of all. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they just say Kapolei. And I went to Eva Beach actually I went to Campbell for high school.
Oh, okay.
So I'm old, I guess, if you want to say, because like everyone's like, how come you didn't go Kapolei? You know what I mean? Yeah, see? Well, I'm the dinosaur from Kapolei who went to Eva Beach.
Okay.
03. So everybody 03 Campbell, you know what's up. Like, especially if you live Makakilo, Kapolei, like we passed Kapolei High School getting built on our way to Campbell every day. Wow. And so like we're looking at this field like, man, that's a nice field. Damn, they got big buildings that guarantee have AC. You know what I mean? Like, so we're passing this, going to school, coming back, and we see Kapolei High School getting built, hurricanes, like, but we're not going there. We went Campbell. But a lot of my exposure to the island as well was through soccer. So I was heavy into soccer. I played t-ball and baseball, like growing up here at Kamakila Park, like everywhere. But soccer was really the one that, for me as a young child growing up, and I realize now how influential it's been on my life to this day. But it got me to see different places at the island, which to me might as well have been the world. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm going to all these different places far away, falling asleep on the way there, like Kaneohe, game in Kaneohe, game Wailua, game Waianae. Okay. So like when you say parks and stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's how I know this island from a young age is, that field over there is super muddy. Right. You know what I mean? That field over there is dry. Don't you ever slide tackle over there. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I know, or at least I would say it was intro to a lot of this island, through the soccer fields, through the parks, parks and recreation. Mm-hmm. So I know when you like rolling the dice, first time at a field, you got to go shishi, you go in the bathroom, like, oh man, good thing we got a shishi. Cause
yeah.
That's why it hit a nerve with me. I was like, oh, man, I know what you're talking about.
For sure.
I know.
And that's the things that matter to people. I try to, as a government official, and we'll get back to my story later, but as a public official, that's when I view our responsibility as government is to provide the things that people care about the most, whether it's roads, whether it's the public parks and beaches, trash pickup, potholes. Yeah. These things are what people care about and have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And if we address those issues, the quality of life of many of our residents improve dramatically. And that's how we have greater impact in our work as elected officials and as government.
And so what is your title today? Because I checked on YouTube, everything, and I've seen it change. So kind of, what's your title today? What's your title's been?
So I'm the state representative for Waianae Coast, District 45, which encompasses Makaha, Makua, and Waianae.
Makaha, Makua, Waianae. So not Maili, Nanakuli.
No. So there's this thing called, it's called redistricting. Okay. So when redistricting happens, it's every 10 years based on the census. So we do a census. Every House district has about 25,000 residents that they represent in the House district. So Waianae did get bigger and more population. And so my district was then drawn to fit the 25,000, which ends at Waianae Comprehensive Health Center. So that's the line on that canal.
Okay. I know. Okay. Yeah. Was it Ka'aina? Yeah, that's
Cafe.
I was being shout out.
Yes, we definitely use them a lot for catering.
So, state representative of District 45, Waianae,
correct,
is who Cedric Gates is, right?
Correct.
And this is a publicly elected position. Correct.
Yes. So I've been running since 2014, and I got in 2016. I ran 2014. My father passed away. I pulled papers on a Friday, and my dad passed away that Sunday. And that was a, shock. It was unexpected. And he was my biggest supporter. So, getting dealt that terrible hand was also just an adversity that I knew I had to get through. And in honor of my father, I continued my campaign even though I was struggling to process all of what just happened, right? But I knew that he would have wanted me to keep going. He wouldn't have wanted me to put on my campaign on hold. But it was just a whole different ball game from when I was coming into this election, that 2014 election, because I had my biggest supporter. So I felt like I had all the mana I needed to go out there and conquer the world. And then you take that away, and it's like, whoa, reevaluate. How do you move forward? Do you move forward, right? And all these existential questions that you got to ask yourself.
Deep questions,
Deep
guaranteed.
questions for sure. And I was 20 at the time. So, it was definitely a hard thing to process, but we got through it, and I ended up losing that first election. But one of the greatest lessons that my father taught me was that a loss is never a loss; it's always a lesson. And when you do take a L, you need to find that lesson in that L that you take, and use it to strengthen who you are and your character, and be able to find a way and a path forward, so you can still succeed in what you're doing.